Sounds of the past and future.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Okay, let's get stuck into this pile of sources you've sent over. It's absolutely packed with analysis, bit of chatter, all from the football world,
Yeah.
Specifically focused on these first few days of the summer transfer window.
Yeah, it already feels pretty hectic, doesn't it? Only been open about a week.
Exactly. And look, our mission today is basically to cut through all that noise. You know, we want to pull out the really key insights, maybe some surprising facts, but what's actually going on with Premier League clubs, their targets, their finances, all that stuff.
And what it means for next season, ultimately.
Right. So we'll dive into the big transfer stories bubbling up, look at club strategies, touch on the usual financial drama like FFP.
Always there, isn't it?
Always. And really dig into what makes players choose one club over another in this, well, crazy period. So let's kick off with Arsenal. Seems like a lot of the early buzz is around them. Fabrizio Romano, he's obviously a big voice in these sources, says they're locked in on Sesho. Yeah, that seems to be the main thing coming through, doesn't it? The most solid link anyway. And it makes you ask, right? Is he the guy? The one who actually gets Arsenal the title next year?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, on the surface, it maybe doesn't feel quite as, I don't know, huge as maybe a Yarez or Osimhen or even like a really experienced striker like Lewandowski.
Well, yeah, a younger guy like Sesho.
Mhm.
That's a lot of pressure coming in with that expectation. But, you know, the analysis here points out you got to back the manager. Arteta apparently wanted him back in January.
Right. Couldn't get it done then. And now you've got this new director, Bert Matt, apparently involved too. Romano seems pretty sure about it, saying Arsenal are the only ones in real talks, even if, you know, Liverpool and Man United are kind of keeping an eye on things.
What's really interesting, though, if you look at all the sources together, is just how targeted Arsenal seem. It's not just Sesho. Sky Sports is linking them with some proper exciting wide players, too. Rodrigo from Real Madrid, Nico Williams, Morgan Rogers is mentioned, even Leroy Sané.
So the insight here isn't just like a shopping list, it's the type of player. If they actually land a quality striker, let's say Sesho, and they get Zubamendi done, which still feels likely, maybe waiting for that July 1st accounting thing at Real Sociedad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus they add a top wide player.
Like a Nico Williams or Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sources are calling those potentially incredible signings. These aren't just squad players, are they? They're upgrades.
Exactly. They're past the rebuilding stage now. They're adding like elite quality. And quietly, that new contract for Gabriel, which is also mentioned, that's really good business too. Keeps that defense solid.
These potential moves for Arsenal are, yeah, really exciting. But the key thing from these sources is it doesn't just make them contenders, it signals they're really going for City.
Yeah.
It makes them a team that kind of has to challenge properly next season. Feels like the new director's influence, demanding quality.
Okay, let's switch over to Liverpool then. The champions. They also seem to be moving pretty sharpish. Sources say they've done a lot of business already. Frimpong is apparently signed.
Yeah, seems like it. And Vertz, he's highlighted as a massive target they're working on. Fabrizio Romano, again, his update was basically patience, it will happen. That's pretty confident.
Fans are already jumping on things. Source mentioned a possible Instagram clue about the number 10 shirt. You know how that goes.
Oh, yeah. They love that stuff, don't they? Any little hint. Liverpool are also linked with Ekitike, another forward. And there was even some chat, maybe a bit out there, about Anthony Gordon. A shock move.
So if you piece it together, it looks like Liverpool probably want another attacker. So that could be, what, 4 really good signings? The attacker, Vertz, Frimpong, and Kurtz. And Kurtz looks like it's basically done. No issues reported there.
Yeah, that's seriously exciting for Liverpool fans. They were flying early last season, weren't they? Smashed the Champions League group and maybe just tailed off a bit. These signings, adding quality and depth, it's clearly about making sure they're right there from the start next season, ready for another title fight.
Right. Now let's turn to Manchester United, also making moves. An official bid, the sources say, for Brian and Burmo. 45 million plus 10 in add-ons.
And the wage, reportedly asking for $250K a week. That's pretty steep.
It is, but looking at the analysis in the sources, why Burmo? What's the thinking there for United right now?
This is where it gets really interesting and kind of blunt in the sources. United finished 15th, described as way off it, not feared, easy to play against. The thinking seems to be they desperately need players who know the Premier League, players with proper physicality, work rate, but also quality, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Burmo, 25 years old, was 20 goals, 7 assists in 38 games last season. He kind of fits that exact profile they need, according to this analysis.
It really shows the level they're shopping at, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The sources are basically saying signing players from teams like Brentford, Wolves, that's the realistic level now, which, might clash with some fan expectations, maybe those who still think of the glory days or look down on those kinds of signings.
Well, it's a bit like Arsenal's rebuild, wasn't it? Bringing in Rice from West Ham, Trossard, Ben White, Ramsdale, guys from the league, or even relegated teams. And that worked for Arsenal, didn't it?
True. United have also got Matheus Cunha in, 45 plus 10 million again, reportedly. Sources say, yeah, good player, talented, but then immediately raise these attitude questions, meltdowns, arguments. Although, interestingly, only one red card, apparently.
Yeah, it's nuanced, isn't it? Do they need real men? Leaders in the dressing room. Sources suggest, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But someone like Cunha, if those reports are right, might need a bit of taming, as one source puts it.
It's framed as his big chance again, isn't it, after Atletico? Maybe his last shot at a really top club.
I think overall the sources paint Burmo and Cunha as, excellent signings for where United are right now.
Yeah.
They're seen as the type of player they need. Guys who actually want to be there, want to play for United, not just collect a wage.
Which brings us neatly onto that whole debate, which pops up a lot in these sources. Club pull versus just money. Specifically, Man United's global appeal against, say, Newcastle's wealth.
Yeah, and the argument, even now in 2025, is pretty strong in these sources. Most players, if they had a straight choice, Man United or Newcastle, they'd probably still pick United.
And the reasons given aren't just about the money. It's that whole global fan base thing, isn't it? The social media explosion, they get followers, brand deals, the image.
Newcastle have brilliant fans, yeah, top 3 in the UK, amazing away support, sellouts.
Yeah.
But globally, that brand recognition just isn't on United's level. Not yet, anyway.
And the sources point to examples. Burmo apparently chose United over Newcastle, despite the money Newcastle have. Dilep chose Chelsea over United, Newcastle, and Forest.
Yeah, it shows player decisions are complicated, right? It's career stage. Maybe they were a fan as a kid, what their agent tells them, maybe prioritize the profile boost, maybe a longer contract. Money's massive, obviously, but it's not everything.
Although the sources do say there's probably a cutoff point. Like, United probably couldn't sign Isak right now. Maybe getting a Yarez would be much harder for them than for Arsenal or Liverpool.
And that connects to some fan chat mentioned, doesn't it? About whether United's pull is the same for younger players who didn't grow up watching them dominate. And the Bruno Fernandes stuff. Could United really say no to 100 million? The source suggests the he's staying line might be a bit of PR, especially when compared to Gabriel at Arsenal apparently turning down Saudi money. Different situations, maybe.
Okay, shifting focus a bit. Let's talk financial headwinds. FFP breaches are a big topic in these sources.
Yep. Barcelona get called out again. Breached UEFA FFP financial fair play. Basically spending within your means, second year running. Penalties look likely, maybe a smaller Champions League squad, maybe even points deduction. Sources say despite all those levers they pulled, the problems are still there. Even it mentions the refs thing. Controversy still lingering. And yet,
they're still linked with Luis Diaz. One source basically says, get your house in order. Pretty blunt.
Chelsea and Villa are also mentioned as likely facing penalties. First-time offenders, though, so maybe less severe.
And then there's that weird Crystal Palace situation. Can they actually play in the Europa League after winning the FA Cup? Because John Textor owns Lion and has shares in Palace, UEFA had an emergency meeting about it.
Yeah, the rules on multi-club ownership have changed, haven't they? City and Girona can both be in the Champions League.
Right.
So the feeling from the sources is this Palace thing should be okay if they can prove Steve Parish runs Palace day to day and there are no, dodgy player deals between the clubs. Someone compared it to the Ratcliffe-Denise situation before. Would be ironic if Brighton got the spot, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're rivals. Still on finance, there's clear frustration in the sources about the Man City 115 charges case. Just dragging on.
Ridiculous is one word used. People are just fed up.
Right.
Why is it taking so long? Is it just lawyers delaying everything? The feeling is it just drags football through the mud. Just get a decision, Innocent or not, just conclude it. It's compared to how quickly things seem to move in other sports sometimes.
And Man United's own financial issues get a lot of focus, needing to be creative with sales because of those massive wages still on the books. Sancho, Rashford, Casemiro.
Sancho is like the poster child for this problem, isn't he? Sent back by Dortmund, sent back by Chelsea. Chelsea paid a penalty, apparently to him, not a fee to keep him. And the issue, he won't take a wage cut from that reported $300K plus a week.
Sources are clear. That's United's mess to clean up, result of past deals. Moving a player on those wages is just so hard. It's either a loan, maybe United pays some wages, or a sale where they probably have to give him a payout so he'll accept less somewhere else. Some fans might think, great, sell him for $20 million, but sources say that wage makes it almost impossible to find a buyer.
Structurally, the sources mention the board changes too. Brailsford back to cycling, Milos to director of football. But the question is kind of hanging there. Do they actually know how to fix these deeper problems? Although there's a bit of positive noise about Jason Wilcox apparently shifting their youth recruitment towards signing promising kids from other clubs.
Meanwhile, Man City just keeps spending, don't they? Closing in on Sherry, 55 million plus bonuses, maybe 70 total, and looking at Nuri for maybe 50 million.
Yeah, the analysis points out they're spending recently something like 375 million quid in the last 6 months alone. Mamouche, 75 meters. Gonzalez, 60 meters, barely played. Kushanov, 40 meters. Vitar Reis, 40 meter. Randa, 70 meter, plus these potential new ones.
Then Jack Grealish, 100 million pound player. Left out of the club World Cup squad. The strong take in the sources is he has to leave City, revive his career, get back in the England picture for the World Cup.
But where does he go? That's the problem highlighted. He'd almost certainly have to take a big pay cut. Villa, maybe, for sentimental reasons. Abroad, Fulham, West Ham. The issue seems to be he needs that freer role he had at Villa. He hasn't really clicked in City's system. One source says he looks so far from that player they signed.
Sources also mention Pep Guardiola potentially eyeing an international job next, which raises that huge question. Can Pep rebuild City again, like Ferguson did at United? One view here is that, honestly, right now, Liverpool and Arsenal look miles ahead in their planning.
Okay, let's shift slightly to the human side of all this. The fan culture around transfers. One point from a fan comment in the source is the impatience. People are getting twitchy already. And the window only opened, June 1st? We're only on the 5th or 6th here.
Yeah, you see some clubs moving fast, others. Newcastle are described as maybe like a rabbit in the headlights, a bit stuck. And looking back, this is a good point from the sources. Think about last summer's big signings. How many really worked out, honestly? Not many jump out as massive successes. Maybe Heisen at Bournemouth, Evan Nielsen, Euro, perhaps?
But loads flopped, didn't they? West Ham's window gets mentioned, lots of Chelsea buys. The point is clear. Big money, big names, no guarantee at all.
And beyond the cash, sources talk about other motivations. That profile boosts social media followers, brand deals. That's huge now.
Yeah.
And for, like we said with Burmo, maybe just playing for a historically massive club still means something.
There's a funny bit in the sources, too, about names on shirts. Like, what's the age limit? 15, 18, never. It's personal taste, isn't it? Different generation. Maybe like the old arguments about colored boots.
Yeah. And it links to that sort of American sports thing creeping in where fans follow players more than teams. Like with NBA jerseys, you see it in football now, people following Palmer, Salah, Son. The source mentions a Korean fan saying they support Spurs because of Son. That's the trend.
And you see fan feelings directly in the sources, too. Like, are United fans just always too optimistic in the summer? Then nothing changes. Or Arsenal fans arguing if injuries are Arteta's fault because of rotation. Shows how intense it all gets.
Okay, just to wrap up, a quick look at some other bits of football news from the sources. Nations League semis happened. Portugal beat Germany 2-1. Vertz scored, Ronaldo scored. Amazing goal from Concall, apparently.
And tonight's the other semi, Spain v France. Yamal against Dembele and Mbappe should be good. Predicted lineups were in there. Looks strong.
England have got qualifiers coming up. Andorra, Serbia. Friendly against Senegal, too. Looking okay in the group. 2 wins so far.
Russell Martin confirmed as the new Rangers manager.
And Liverpool apparently shut down that Barcelona interest in Luis Diaz pretty firmly. He's not for sale. That's despite Deco previously linking Barca with him, and Rashford and Martinelli, too.
And a bit of chat about the Club World Cup, mixed feelings on excitement levels, and that usual question, could a big European team, like City, maybe against Mumbai City, actually slip up against a non-European side?
Right, okay. That was quite the deep dive then into this early transfer window madness, all based on the sources you gave us.
Yeah, we've seen the big guns, Arsenal, Liverpool, making what look like really targeted moves. Man United trying a different approach, maybe more realistic signings for them now. Chelsea sticking with the youth plan, still questions there. And FFP just hanging over several clubs, creating that uncertainty.
And it's so clear player choices aren't simple. It's club status, ambition, the money, yeah, but also that profile thing is becoming huge.
And the window's barely started. But history, even just last summer, tells us loud and clear, spending big isn't always the answer. Success isn't guaranteed.
So what does this all mean for you, following along? As things develop, keep an eye on whether clubs stick to these plans we've talked about, how the money pressures affect things, and most importantly, who actually delivers when the season kicks off. Because, like we saw, it's definitely not always the biggest signings who make the difference.
So here's a final thought then. Thinking about how many big signings didn't work out last year, which potential high-profile move happening this summer do you reckon is most likely to actually deliver on your hype? Something to chew on as all the transfer rumours keep flying around.
Sounds of the past and future.